It's usually thought that crawling is something that's only done in two circumstances: if you're a baby, or if you're Anakin at the end of Revenge of the Sith. But there's a form of crawling that's incredibly beneficial to your health and fitness, seemingly starting off as just a parkour exercise, but in the last couple of years has become a whole world in itself. So let's have a look at this collection of exercises and find out what exactly is quadrupedal movement. Now, we're going to look at the origins of quadrupedal movement, examples of those movements, and how it can be beneficial. However, before all of that, here is a very quick overview for those of you who might be thinking, what on earth is this guy talking about? Quadrupedal movements are a collective of exercises that mimic the way that animals move and how we used to move before we evolved to walk. Quadrupedal meaning four-footed, and movements being, well, ways of moving. But over the past few years, some exercises have been included that aren't on all fours, but they still count, because quadrupedal movements are also known as animal movements, locomotion patterns, quadrobics, primal method, and various others that basically just mean the same thing. All exercises, despite being copied from animals, are natural to the human body. Now, unfortunately, the origins of quadrupedal movements, or QM as I'm going to say, aren't as simple as a date and a person. There are multiple reports of different disciplines using quadrupedal type movements from the early 1900s. The earliest evidence I could find of animal studying being used to help improve human fitness was from a German called Joseph Pilates, who created contrology, which later became known as Pilates. Joseph was a gymnast, bodybuilder, boxer, circus performer, wrestler, and self-defense instructor who, in order to create contrology, studied and experimented with yoga and the movements of animals. He was probably one of, if not the, first Western man to pioneer this type of training. However, it is thought that at this time, many Kung Fu masters in the eastern part of the world were decades ahead of anyone in the West with regards to physical fitness and their mind-body connection, partially due to similar QM included in their martial arts training. Next came Georges Hébert, a Frenchman with a military background who created the natural method, which was a way of training that included all of the natural movement patterns that humans need: walking, running, stretching, throwing, jumping, lifting, climbing, core work, locomotion patterns, and balancing exercises. A portion of this went on to inspire the creation of parkour in the 1980s and 1990s, with quadrupedal movements being included in the everyday training of the yamakasi. Also in the 1990s, many animal movements were being incorporated into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then in the early 2000s, the original version of CrossFit also included similar movements. Since then, animal movements have been incorporated into a whole bunch of different sports, and in the last 10 years or so, mainly thanks to the rise of social media, have become a whole world of their own. So how can quadrupedal exercises be useful? Well, first of all, they can be done anywhere, even in the smallest of spaces. You don't need a gym or any specific pieces of equipment to complete them. And yes, your standard sit-ups, squats, and press-ups don't need a lot of room either, but QM is a little bit more fun and creative and playful in a way if that's something that you prefer. The list of physical benefits is actually quite extensive, mainly because there are so many different skills that target certain areas of your body. But in general, it helps stabilize and strengthen your core, shoulders, hips, and quads, whilst also improving your mobility. It can also help develop your coordination, balance, and in some cases will help prevent back pain. So I've looked at the history and the benefits of QM. Now here's 8 different movements that you can try. First up, we have the bear crawls. These are done moving the opposite foot and opposite hand at the same time with a nice flat back with your bum down. This can be done on the ground, on a wall, or even a railing. The hardest version is going backwards upstairs. Next, we have the crab. This is a great one to get the kids to do. It can be done forwards, backwards, or side to side. The easy version, you have your stomach down, and then you can advance it a bit more by having your stomach pointing up. Next up we have these side monkeys. Now the easiest version of this is just keeping those hips low, just little steps, little hops over to the side, and then a more advanced version with a bit more of a jump, getting those hips nice and high. Hands, feet, moving sideways. Next, to practice your kongs, we have the ground kongs, just hands, feet moving forward, and then you can extend this, make it a bit harder once your wrists are warmed up by doing a big dive kong. Lizard or crocodile walks are up next. This is similar to the bear crawl, but this time your feet are going on the outside of your hands rather than the inside, and you're doing a mini press up essentially with every step you take. This can be advanced by resting the knee on your elbow. Duck walks are next, and yes, these are on 2 feet instead of 4, but this is a good way to test your hip mobility and to strengthen your quads. These funny looking ones are called crickets and are a great way to test the springiness of your ankles and your wrists. They look weird, but they are really fun to do. Finally, we have the ground speeds or the monkey travel. Essentially a speed vault on the ground, just jumping forwards, and you can advance this further by jumping your feet out to the side like you would do with a speed vault, but for most people, tucked legs are enough. Now before we finish this video, there is one form of exercising or moving that is could technically be classed as a quadrupedal movement, and it was probably one of the first ones to ever be done. However, it's not usually classed as a QM because it's done upright rather than on the ground. It's climbing. Climbing is, in essence, a form of using your hands and feet, all 4 limbs, as one. So it is a QM if you look at it that way, but it is up for debate. So from the Eastern world to the West, linked with a whole variety of different sports, and lately becoming a whole item of its own, you now know everything there is that you need to know about quadrupedal movement. Thank you for watching this video on the history of quadrupedal movement and how it can be useful. Join me next time where we'll be looking at the downfall of the world's largest parkour competition. See you around.